HIMARS rocket and artillery units carried out more than 50 firing missions. 100 Russian ammunition depots in Kherson and command posts in the Kakhovka district were destroyed. The footage shows Ukrainian forces geolocating unit positions and hitting them with HIMARS. Ukraine said on Monday that its forces had used the US-supplied HIMARS rocket system to destroy more than 100 Russian arsenals since receiving the weapons last month. In comments on national television, Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov underlined the growing impact of the high-mobility artillery rocket system, HIMARS, as Ukraine tries to repel the Russian invasion. This is them and the Russian logistics and depriving them of their ability to carry out active combat and our armed forces with heavy shelling, Reznikov said. Reznikov said Ukrainian artillery crews had carried out precise strikes on several bridges. He did not provide details, but appeared to be referring to 3 river crossings in the Russian-occupied Kherson region that local occupation authorities said were attacked by HIMARS over the past week. Reznikov also said Ukraine had received 3 Leopard anti-aircraft armored fighting vehicles, the first of 15 expected, and that Kyiv expected to take delivery of several dozen Leopard tanks. Russia says it has destroyed several HIMARS systems, although Ukraine has denied this. In the latest report, Russia's defense ministry said on Monday that its forces had destroyed an ammunition depot for the HIMARS system in the Khmelnytsky region of western Ukraine. Ukrainian officials have repeatedly said that Western arms supplies are critical to Ukraine's military efforts and underlined the importance of HIMARS because of the supremacy of Russian artillery in terms of numbers and ammunition. HIMARS has a longer range and is more precise than the Soviet era artillery that Ukraine has in its arsenal. Russia has criticized the United States in particular for providing Ukraine with instructors to help Ukrainian forces use HIMARS. Russia, which invaded Ukraine on February 24, has seized parts of southern Ukraine and is using artillery supremacy in the east to make gradual moves. Territorial advantage. Russian President Vladimir Putin is increasingly relying on irregular volunteer and proxy forces rather than conventional units and formations of the Russian Federation Armed Forces. ISW has previously reported that Putin has been bypassing the Russian Higher Military Command and Ministry of Defense leadership throughout the summer and especially following the defeat around Kharkiv Oblast.
Stand by! Fire!
Putin's souring relationship with the military command and the Russian MOD may explain in part the Kremlin's increasing focus on recruiting ill-prepared volunteers into ad hoc irregular units rather than attempting to draw them into reserve or replacement pools for regular Russian combat units. A prominent Russian millblogger reported that Russian forces have already begun the process of forming and staffing the 4th Army Corps, at least on a documentation level. The report may be true given the recent Russia-wide push for the formation of more regional volunteer units among the Kremlin representatives following the Russian defeat around Kharkiv Oblast. Russian federal subjects had previously begun advertising for contract service and volunteer units around the time of the formation of the 3rd Army Corps. Russian forces are also increasingly recruiting prisoners, involving Cossack units, deploying elements of Russian security services such as the Russian Federal Security Service and Rosgvardia, and covertly mobilizing men from occupied Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts. The continued focus on the formation of irregular units is receiving some criticism from retired Russian officers who are calling for proper conventional divisions rather than volunteer battalions. Ukrainian military officials reported that Russian forces are conceding and losing tactically significant positions in unspecified areas in Kherson Oblast. The Ukrainian Southern Operational Command added that Russian forces have decreased the intensity of their artillery fire over some unspecified segments along the line of contact. The Ukrainian Southern Operational Command noted that platoon-sized Russian elements still unsuccessfully attempt to assault Ukrainian positions in unspecified areas.